Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Next Level Lifestyles, where we feature various locations and lifestyles worldwide. And today I have Danielle Hyams. Welcome, Danielle.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
So happy to have you. So before we get into the show, I think we should totally talk about how we met.
So I write for a weekly second home newsletter. It's theescapehome.com. So we just feature all sorts of different things about the second home, vacation home market. So I reached out to you to talk about condos, actually, following that awful tragedy in Miami.
No, absolutely. And it's just so crazy how we got connected. Like I always say, your network is your net worth, and we're a combination of the 5 people closest to us. And it's funny because our mutual friend, Meredith, who I actually went to high school with, she had recommended that we get in touch with one another. And it's funny because you just never know where things will lead. And now here we are doing this podcast.
Meredith was my roommate freshman year of college in Vermont. So
Danielle is originally from Cleveland, Ohio, backpacked around the world for several years after grad, which I can't even wait to hear about. Asia, Africa, Latin, Middle East, etc. Moved to New York City in 2016, went back to school and got a master's in journalism and graduated right before COVID in December of 2019. And finally moved to Mexico City just last October. Wow, that's like quite the story there. So let's unpack that a bit, Danielle. So tell me, where did you grow up? Like, what was that experience like, that lifestyle?
Yeah, so I grew up in Cleveland, a suburb of Cleveland, Ohio. So pretty standard Midwestern lifestyle. I was really lucky. My grandmother actually took me to Israel when I was 15. So it was kind of my first brush with foreign culture, international travel. I very vividly remember not wanting to go. I was like, I want to go to the mall and hang out with my friends. I was 15, but she forced me to go, and it kind of opened up this whole new world for me.
And now talk to me about how, how it was traveling as were you like a female on your own, or were you with a group of people? What was that like?
So most of the time I started on my own, but I think that solo travel, you're never really alone. I do remember when I went to Uganda with a group trip, I met an American girl traveling by herself, and I was just blown away. I was like, she's so cool. I could never do this. But I think when you travel, you build up your confidence and you learn what you're really capable of. And eventually I got to the point where I went back to Uganda by myself, and it was very doable. And I think that you grow a lot as a person. You find your confidence, your independence.
What advice would you share with someone that's considering a lifestyle change?
I don't want to discourage anyone from moving to New York. It is truly, truly a great city.
Totally.
Right? But I think that a lot of people get caught up in a mindset like LA, SF, New York City, you have to be here. This is where everything is happening. And then when COVID happened, people were like, wait, suburbia is not that bad. I can go hiking. I can drive places. My commute isn't 60 minutes if there's no delays on the MTA. So my advice, if you've ever thought about it, it doesn't have to be insurmountable. I made the move to Mexico really easy for myself. So I'd been here several times. I'd always dreamt of moving here. I think that it's hard, or pre-COVID, it was very hard to separate yourself from work, from your apartment. But with COVID, unfortunately, I just graduated. I was new to my job. I lost it. It happens. My lease was up. It made it very easy. And I just booked an Airbnb for 3 months in Mexico City. It happened to be an Airbnb that I'd already stayed at. So not everyone has that opportunity, but it gave me a little bit of extra comfort. And I was like, I'm gonna go for 3 months. What is the absolute worst that can happen? I can challenge myself. I didn't know anybody here, so I joined Bumble BFF. Right? Or
wait, I had no idea that's even a thing. This is amazing.
Bumble, the dating app, actually has 3 versions. Dating, and then there's Bumble BFF, which is you have a separate profile. And there's also Bumble Networking, which I've never used. And I think that a lot of what people know about Mexico, they get from the media, and that is very negative. Obviously there's corruption and there's issues with the drug cartels, but I think, when you're here as a foreigner or as an expat, you do have this privilege where you are a bit removed from it, especially if you're behaving.
That's actually, I'm really glad we touched upon that, because I think no matter what, I think there's always the fear of the unknown whenever someone's looking to even travel somewhere new, or, I mean, goodness gracious, get an Airbnb to somewhere new. But especially, I know there is that negative connotation with Mexico, which is so unfortunate because it is so beautiful. So paint us a picture for someone that's never seen Mexico City before.
Okay, so I guess the first thing that's important to know is that the weather is pretty fabulous here. Mexico City is not by the beach. I think a lot of people think like Mexico Beach, Cancun, which makes sense. But the closest beach is like between 4 and 5 hours drive. That would be Acapulco. Cancun's about an hour flight, maybe like $75 round trip. But it's like a very temperate city. It's high. It's 7,000 something feet in elevation. So people don't realize how high it is. So it never really gets past 80 degrees. At night, it's usually in the 60s. The summer is rainy season. So I mean, right now it's beautiful outside. It'll often rain hard for several hours in the afternoon. As far as safety goes, I've never had an issue here. I think anywhere, as long as you're smart and you pay attention to your surroundings and you pay attention to your intuition. Like, I don't know, these days, like New York's not that safe. People here don't worry about random gun violence. It's just not a thing. I mean, I find it a very convenient place to live. I Uber everywhere. You can get everything delivered to you if that's what you want. They do have Uber Eats here. It's very much a 24-hour lively city where you can find anything.
Like, do you need to know Spanish to be able to survive? Or are you okay getting by with just like a little bit of
I want to discourage someone who didn't know Spanish. I will say, compared to cities like Cancun or Playa del Carmen that have like been, for many, many years, tourist attractions receiving many visitors from the US, less people here speak English. But you can definitely get by. When you're going to restaurants and stores that typically attract foreigners, there's a higher likelihood of people speaking English. But Mexicans are always willing to help. And I think that's another thing you learn when you travel is that like nonverbal communication can get you really far.
What do you have to lose, right? Like, there's a lot of people that may have like a lease that's expiring, or, honestly, maybe someone has an existing dwelling. Like, I own my house in Connecticut, but listen, for the cost that it is to be able to go somewhere else, it sounds like it's so efficient and like affordable that maybe now's the time just to try.
I think that people can come up with a lot of reasons, and it seems so hard. Like, you're like, what do you do with your stuff? Do you have a dog? It's scary. I was really scared I've traveled a lot. Like, I've been to, honestly, like, I don't like country counters, but maybe somewhere in like the 50 country range. And I was terrified. Like, I moved here and like, I don't think it really hit me until I got here. And then I was like, wait, I have no friends. Like, this is super lonely. So there was a week where I was like, is this the right decision? But like, you just push yourself. It's a great lesson. Like, even if you come back in 2 months, you will have learned so much.
Danielle, where can everyone find you?
So if people are interested in checking out the newsletter I write for, it's www.theescapehome.com. Your first 6 months are free. I think it's a great product for people who are interested in the second home vacation home market. You can follow my personal Instagram. It's at thinkwithyourpassport. And then I'm always happy to field emails on my personal account, which is Danielle Hyams, DanielleHyams @gmail.com.
Love it, Danielle. I'm so excited. I can't even tell you. You've given me so many ideas and just so many things that I know, like little seeds. I feel like we're planting little seeds on how, not only myself, but hopefully other people that are listening can really seize the day and start living their best quality life. So thank you.
And then just one more thing about Mexico.
Yes, please.
It's so close. Like, I know that if I ever need to fly home for a reason, I can be there in the same day. I'm 1 hour, before East Coast time now. So it's really, I have a freelance job out of New York. It's very easy to get to New York. So I think it's very possible.
And it seems like the Wi-Fi connection's pretty good, which is always a good thing.
Definitely. And you can have like, you can look at Airbnbs and have them send you, there's in low tech, but there's some like measurement where you can know if it's going to be fast. But there's also a huge cafe culture. I mean, there's great cafes here that people are constantly working in. It's a great way to meet people.